All right, let's get started with your chi-square analysis. So this is the chi-square analysis spreadsheet, and this is the original data structure that was set up for each of the regions. We have a week code, we got the geography, the products, and each of the regions created their set of data, captured their data, and we have a rolled up all of the data for all the regions, and they're sorted by week code, by geography, by product, and each of the regions had 4 different products, and there are 4 different regions. So let's move over to Minitab. Now this is the file that you would use if you are going to be using Sigma Excel, and we're going to demonstrate that in a little bit in a separate video. So this data was captured. It has been copied into Minitab. So let's move over to Minitab now. So here's the data in Minitab, and the first thing we want to try to do is utilize the Crosstab function within Minitab to do the chi-square analysis. So we start with the stat pull-down menu, and then you come down here to where it says tables, and then we are going to move over and we're going to do a Crosstab and Chi-Square. So this is the way that we can begin to do our analysis. All right, so for a row, we're going to select the product, and for the columns, we're going to use geography, or we could use rows for geography or products for the columns. All right, the frequencies are in the units, that's in C4. We're going to have counts, total percents, and we're going to select chi-square, and we want to have the chi-square analysis, and we want each cell's contribution to the chi-square statistic. We're going to say OK on that. From the options standpoint, display marginal statistics, display missing values, that's all fine. Other statistics, we're going to pass on any of this other stuff, but there's other things you could do. And now that we've got these settings, we're just going to say OK. So here we have the chi-square analysis, and what we're getting is, let's see if we can scroll over team. I guess we got it all in there. All right, so we've got a p-value of 0.000. So that says that yes, we have some kind of a difference has been detected. So this chi-square, this distribution has a degree of freedom of 9. All right, and we'll need that when we generate a chi-square distribution that we can use to pick up the points of interest. And the chi-square total statistic is this 1748,296. So the values all add up to this total here, and we'll see how much of this is attributed to different cells. So the cells, we have a count, percent of the total, and the contribution to chi-square. So we're going to scroll up here. All right, so we have our 4 regions, and this is all in the session window. So tabulated statistics, product, geography. We've got regions 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and the rows of the products. We've got products 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see when you begin to look at this, you know, the contribution values to the chi-square statistic. So if I look at, say, product 2 in region 1, you know, here's a 396. I've got a 159. Here's a 322. Here's a 337, a 191. So those are all large contributors to the chi-square statistic, and we have a count and then the percentage of the totals to go along with it. So when you look at the percentage of the totals, all right, so 11.6% here, you got 14.2%, 13.26%. So what that's showing us is that when we look at our p-value, it's telling us that when we see those large differences, that they would be significant. Well, one of the things that's kind of hard to do with a chi-square is just to look at the table of numbers and go, oh, well, is this really different or is this not? So one of the things that really helps out is if we can take a look at the chi-square distribution itself. So I had previously generated chi-square data. I generated 100 data points for a chi-square distribution with a degrees of freedom of 9. So to do something like that, you would go to Calc, and we go to Random Data, and we scroll up to the top, and you're not going to see it because it's off the screen here, chi-square. I select chi-square. All right, so I've got 500 data points, chi-square data, 9 degrees of freedom, and we're going to call this chi-square data 1 so that we don't get messed up here. Okay, chi-square data 1. All right, so we just generated another set of random data, 500 chi-square data points, degrees of freedom of 9. Now, when you look at that distribution, what we did, I'll make this a little bit big so it fits the screen. All right, so the density over here, this is the p-values over here. And you have your here's your values that we have of units sold on the bottom. That's our X data. And I adjusted the density over here. I just double click on that. I added a couple of extra position ticks on it so we'd get 0.05 on there. All right, so we've always said that if I have a p-value of 0.05 or less, then that's telling me that there is a difference. All right, so if I drew this line across here for a point value p05, and then I dropped a couple of lines down, and I can see that if I'm at about just past 3 or less, then that is significantly different than the rest. And if I'm at about 12.5 or greater, that's significantly different than the rest. So everything that's in here is pretty much what we would expect to see all of the regions and all of the products perform at from the standpoint of unit sales over the course of each week during the year. And if we start to see things that are greater than that, then that's different, and that would be good because we like having higher sales. And if we see stuff that is less than, say, 3.25, then that's different than the rest, and we want to take some corrective action because that's not performing as well as everything else. So this gives us now a feel for, when we see the counts, what is making a difference or not. Now, one of the things that we can do is we can do some additional statistics to help us with looking at our data set. So we're going to go back to, always go to the big blue eye and go left, the big blue eye. That's the show worksheets folder. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to go back to the regional sales data. Make that bad baby big again. All right, so here's the regional sales data. And what we're now going to do is let's take a look at a two-way analysis of variance so we can get a little bit of statistics that begin to tell us about the differences between the regions and the products. So that's under the Stat menu, Analysis of Variance, and we're going to do a two-way analysis of variance. I'm going to click on that. Now the response that we have is in column C4, that's the units. Our row factor is geography. We want to display the means. Our column factor is the product. We want to display the means. All right, the graphs that we would like to have, we want to have box plots of the data. So we're going to select that and say OK. All right, and now we're just going to be able to say OK and generate our two-way analysis of variance. All right, so there's the box plots. But before we look at the box plots, I'm going to go up here to the session window, and I'm going to click on that, and I want to scroll up. And what I want to do is get to our two-way analysis of variance table. All right, so what this is telling us, if I look at this analysis of variance, we've got degrees of freedom, sum of squares, we've got a mean square, we have an F statistic, and now our p-value. Our p-values are very, very, very small, much, much less than 0.05. So what this is telling us is that geography, there's definitely a difference between geography. products. There's definitely a difference between products. And yes, there is some type of interaction between geography and products. All right, so if I look at the first thing for geography, all right, I can see that on average, Region 2 and Region 4 are performing at a higher average units sold per week than Region 1 and 3. And if I look at the products, product number 1 just doesn't do very well, all right, and product 2 and 3 are doing better than product 4, but all of those are better than product 1. But it is a statistical difference because we've got the p-value to show that. Now, if we take a look at the box plot, we'll go up here to the big blue eye, grab the graph. All right, I'll make this a little bit big. And we know from the analysis that we did, and let's just see if we can add some ticks to this. Position ticks, and let's add, we'll go space, we'll add 3, and then space, we'll add 12. All right, and I'm just going to draw a line on here. Let's see, at 3, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and line up on 3. I'll draw a line across here on 3. Grab this and hold it on 12 with the Shift key, draw a line across there. All right, so things that are above this line I know are significantly different. And things that are below this line, I know those are different. So product number 3, okay, in Region 1, okay, that's performing poorly. All right, product number 2 in Region 1 is performing very well. All right, product number 3 in Region 2, and then we have product number 4 in Region 4 is performing above the rest. And then you look at region number 3, and they're kind of in the middle of the pack, and they're not doing anything special. All right, and so what we're trying to find out from our chi-square analysis is which regions are performing well, which products are performing well, which ones are performing poorly, and what can we learn? So we can see that some of the different strategies in Region 1 and Region 2 and Region 4 are making a difference on some specific products, like product 2, 3, and 4. All right, product 1, nothing seems to be working that anybody's doing, so we're going to have to come up with something. Whatever Region 1 is doing on product number 3, we don't want to be doing that. And then Region 3 could learn something from Region 1 and Region 2 and Region 4 about what they're doing with products 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so this analysis is giving us further proof along with the chi-square, and from the chi-square distribution, it gave us the lines of demarcation. It said that, okay, if we're at 3 or less and we're at 12 or greater, then we know that those are statistically significant and different than the rest of the pack. Now, the other thing we can take a look at would be a multivary study. So a multivary is under, let's see, basic statistics, no. Quality tools, there we go. Good old-fashioned, old-time quality tools. And we'll come down here to multivary chart. And as much as I use Minitab, I still get lost trying to find things because it's not intuitively obvious. All right, so we have C4 for the units. That's our response. Our factor number 1 is product. Our factor number 2 is geography. From an options standpoint, we want to connect the means for factor 1, for factor 2, and then we put in a title, Springfield Specialties Company Multivary Analysis. We'll say OK to that, and let's generate our multivary analysis. All right, so once again, let's do a little trick over here with our scale and position ticks, and let's stick a tick over here, space 3, space, and space 12, and a space. All right, and I'm going to grab that line again. I'm going to hold down the Shift key so I can draw a nice straight line, and grab that line again. I'll hold down the Shift key, Draw a nice straight line over here. All right, so we can see now, probably not only product 3, but product 4 is not doing so well in region 1. I mean, I may be a little bit off on that, but it's right on the hair edge of that line. And then you can see that our other products 2 and 3 and 4 in regions 1 and 2 and 4 respectively. But you look at region 3, I mean, they are just right in the middle of the average of everything, nothing special going on. So this just gives us another graphic. I think I like this graphic a little bit better than the box plot, but some people like the box plot. We have the statistics from the two-way analysis of variance that says, yes, there's a difference between regions and products. And we've got the chi-square that says that as well. So now we have enough information that we can help with the strategy, which says, hey guys, you can learn from each other. And oh, by the way, region 3, you better pick up the pace. And now we are armed with some data so that we can start to make some good business decisions to improve our sales and our marketing strategies in these different regions for these products. So that is how we would get that done in Minitab.